In 1995, the PlayStation console was released, and gaming fans everywhere would soon be ushered into a new, amazing experience when compared to other consoles at the time. With a plethora of amazing games coming out for this console over its life cycle, there were many must-plays on the console. The PlayStation was a huge deal. However, many people, a ton of us being kids at the time, couldn't afford one. Well, that's where this came in. This is a PlayStation rental unit from none other than Blockbuster. As a kid, I remember seeing these black suitcase-like boxes behind the counter at my local Blockbuster. I was lucky enough that we had a PlayStation and an N64 in the house at the time, but even then it's distinctly something I remember seeing all the time. Going to Blockbuster to rent games, I would always see this black case behind the counter. The idea that not only video games could be rented, but whole consoles, it was an incredible idea to me at the time. Others have also told me that these were in locations not just Blockbuster, but at like grocery stores and locally owned rental stores as well, but I only ever knew them from Blockbuster. So I'm happy to say that I finally got my hands on one, and it's originally owned from a Blockbuster. When PlayStation released, it was $299. When we account for inflation, that would be nearly $600 today. So these rental units made sense. If you just wanted to play Resident Evil for a week, why spend $350 buying the unit and the game when you could just rent it all for about $40, beat the game, and take it back? For many people, this was the option they did choose. I don't remember there being all that many of these at Blockbuster. I think I only saw one or two in our local one, and that number would make sense to me. As the console got cheaper, more people would just buy it, but earlier on I imagine that these did make Blockbuster good money. This case is so cool. The foam inside completely made for the PS1 hardware, 2 DualShock controllers, an RF adapter, and 1 OEM memory card. I've seen some pictures of these where the system manuals are stored on the left there. However, this unit didn't come with any. I have wanted one of these for a while, sometimes seeing them displayed at different local video game stores, only to be met with not for sale. And since this is such a fun display piece, I can completely understand them not wanting to sell it. A nice piece of history that, to be honest, we won't ever see again. Buying this in 2022 from a Goodwill no less, I also wanted to dive in and see what was on that memory card. And well, they weren't exactly the most exciting games. We have some files for MTV Sports Pure Ride, Need for Speed 3, Jackie Chan Stuntmaster, and OG Wipeout. I'm not sure if Blockbuster supplied a memory card with their rental units, but it would make sense if they did. Many games would have needed it, so I'm hoping that this was the original memory card that Blockbuster gave out with this case. Sadly, as I went to test the old rental unit, it was failing to read discs. It powers on just fine, but it won't read any disc I put into it. I'll have to take a look at a few things if I want to get it running again. I'm thinking it's the laser, but luckily I have plenty of PS1 consoles in my collection, so I pulled out a working one to test the controllers, and they worked well. Playing some original Ridge Racer, I didn't have any issues with the controllers. I'm happy to add this little piece of history to my collection and wanted to make this short video on the topic. I always thought these kinds of things were so cool growing up, and hopefully you enjoyed this little trip back to the mid to late 90s. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this content, please help us get to 100 subscribers and look out for more content.